Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Patience. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you guys how I made this beautiful deep V-neck, gathered bust, basque waist, ruffle hem maxi dress with a short puff sleeve. Before we get started, kindly click the subscribe button. If you have done that, let's get into it. I'll be using this beautiful flower crepe fabric and it is 4 yards. I've gone ahead to draft my half scale block. I have a video on how to draft this. I'll put the link on the description box. So for the back piece, I use my shoulder to half length, which is 16 inches. I'll keep the back piece aside. Working on the front piece, I used my shoulder to half length plus 2 inches. So I added extra 2 inches, that is 18 inches because of the bust dart, as you can see. So when I take in my bust darts, the front and the back piece, the side seams are going to align. So this is the 3 inches width and 3 inches depth for the standard measurement. For this dress, I'll be using 12 inches for the neck depth. And on the side seam for the shape on the dress, I am going to mark my shoulder to underbust, which is 14 inches. I'll come down by 1 inch, that is 15 inches, and I'll connect it to this 12 inches this way using this curved part of my ruler, as you can see me do. And I'll connect the 12 inches to the neck width for my V-shaped neck. Now I am going to be adding a dart to the neck depth to avoid neck gaping. To do that, I am going to mark 6 inches from the shoulder this way, that is half of the neck depth, and I'll connect it to the waist dart this way. So for the dart intake, I am going to mark 3/4 inch from this point, and then I'll connect it this way. So this is going to avoid gaping. So that is it. Now I am going to cut it out. My pattern is folded, so I use my tracing wheel to trace out all the measurements on the other side of the pattern paper, as you can see. Okay, now I am going to be cutting it out. Now I'll close the waist dart. So I'm cutting out this dart leg that is close to the folded edge. I'll cut through, leaving about 1/4 inch. In order to close the waist dart, I'll cut the neck dart, leaving about 1/4 inch, and I'll close the waist dart. Use my sellotape to secure it. As you can see, this line is not aligned. I'll just use my ruler to align it this way and cut it out. And close the other dart this way and use my sellotape to secure it. That is it for the hem of the front piece. Now I'll close the neck dart. As you can see, it is not aligned. I'll just use my ruler to align it and cut it out. Now I am going to close the bust dart. In order to close the bust dart, I'll cut out the remaining dart, the waist dart, and then I'll close the bust dart. Use my sellotape to secure it, align the side seam, and cut it out. I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll cut out the remaining dart, cut out the bust dart, close the bust dart, secure it with my sellotape, and align the side seam and cut it out. After doing that, I'll be using the splash and spread method for my gathered bust. So on the shoulder, I'll mark the midpoint this way and then connect it to the dart, just the way you see me do, and I'll cut through the lines and label it as 1 and 2. and I'll place it on another pattern paper for my splash and spread. So for the splash and spread, on the hem I'll be using about 4 inches, and on the shoulder I'll be using 3 inches. I'll be making gathers on the shoulder and the hem. So to cut it out, I marked the 3 inches on the other pattern paper and place it this way to have that same V-shape effect, and I ensure that these hem parts are equal. On the shoulder, remember the shoulder is slanted, so I followed the shape as you can see, and I used 3 inches for the splash and spread. Now I'll just connect it this way and cut it out. So this is what we have. I'll be making gathers on the shoulder and the bust area. Remember, I did not add sewing allowances to my pattern. I'll be doing that on my fabric. So I'll be adding sewing allowances round, and I'll be adding 1 inch for side seam and ½ inch round. So I'll be using these parts for gathers, like I said. That is it for the cup. I'll be cutting ×2 for the lining and 2 for the fabric. Now for the lower part of the front piece, I'll be placing it on another pattern paper this way and align the folded edges and pin it down. For my basque waist, I'll go down by 4 inches. You can go down by 3 inches or 4 inches, and I'll connect it to the side seam this way, as you can see, and I'll cut it out. So this is for the basque waist. I'll be adding ½ inch round for sewing allowance, and on the side seam I'll add 1 inch. This is what it looks like after I opened it up. This is the basque waist effect. So the front piece is going to be longer than the back piece with 4 inches. And these are the cups. I'm going to be making my gathers, like I said, to fit in. So I'll be cutting it out on the lining and the fabric. So I'll cut out ×2 here for the fabric and the lining, and I'll cut out ×2 on the cups. But if you don't want to add a lining, you can go ahead and cut it out this way and use a bias tape to finish up the neckline. So like I said, I'll be adding sewing allowances round, ½ inch on the shoulder, and on the side seam 1 inch, and also on the neckline I'll add ½ inch. Down to this cup area, I'll add ½ inch round to attach it back to the cup. Also add ½ inch on the hem. That is it for the front piece. Now for the back piece, like I said, I marked my shoulder to half length, and I'll be taking in my darts on the fabric. So I used 3 inches width and 2 inches neck depth. Okay, I'll just go ahead and cut this out. And I marked ½ inch in this way and connected it to the neck to avoid zipper bulge. So I'll be adding my sewing allowances round and add 1 inch for side seam. So I'll cut this out on my fabric, and I'll also cut out facing. So this is it. I've gone ahead to do that. This is the front piece. I cut out ×4 on the fabric. So I'm using the fabric as the lining. So you can use a lining if you like. So these are the 4 pieces. I'm going to place the right sides this way, as you can see, the fabric and the lining, and I'll sew on the ½ inch for sewing allowance. So like I said, I added sewing allowances round, as you can see. Also on the lower part of the front piece, I've added all my sewing allowances, as you can see. I'm just going to mark this point at the hem, indicating that that is the hem, so I will not make mistake. So what I did was I ironed an interfacing on this part. Okay, so if you like, you can create a boning casing this way and insert a boning, but I'm not doing that. So for the back piece, I've added 1 inch for zipper allowance and 1 inch for side seam and ½ inch round. You can avoid back bulge or zipper bulge this way, or you can go up by 3/4 inch or 1 inch and connect it to the side seam, so you can use any of this method. Okay, remember the side seams are still going to align. The side seam of the front and the back piece are still going to align. So I'm just going to use this method. And I've also cut out a facing for the back piece. Now for the front piece, I've joined the 1/2 inch on the neckline, like I said, and I've ironed it properly. So this is how it came out. Now I am going to be making double gather stitch on the bust area. So I'll start from about 5 inches on the side seam this way and make double gather stitch from 1/2 inch on the neckline. I'll also make double gather stitch on the shoulder starting from 1/2 inch. My shoulder measurement is 8 inches plus 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. That's 8.5 inches. I took out 3 inches for the neck depth, so I'll make the gathers 5.5 inches. Now starting from 1/2 inch, I'll make my double gather stitch and stop at the 5 inches that I marked. Okay, after doing that, I'll also make my gather stitch on the shoulder, double gather stitch on the shoulder starting from 1/2 inch, and I'll pick both ends of the thread and make my gathers on the cup area and also the shoulder. I'll do the same thing on the other piece. So this is how it came out. As you can see, these are my cups. So I'll be attaching the lower part of the front piece. So this is the hem that I marked. I'll be joining it on this part. I'll measure what I have here and ensure my gathers are aligned. So I'll place the right sides this way, aligning the neckline and the midpoint. As you can see, make sure it is on the midpoint. So I'll pin it down and I'll sew on 1/2 inch following the shape. As you can see, it is on the midpoint. I'll do the same thing on the other side. I've done that, and now I am going to attach the other piece of the lower part. So I'll make sure both pieces of the lower part, the right sides, are facing each other and the cups are at the middle. As you can see, I'll align the midpoint and I'll sew on the same stitch, joining the other piece, if that makes sense. Just as you can see me do. So I'm sewing directly on the stitch I made earlier, following the curved shape. So this is how it came out. As you can see, the side seam of the front and the back piece are aligned. I'll go ahead and trim this out a bit and I'll later serge. I ironed properly and this is how it came out. I'm going to measure what I have on the Basque waist. This is 20 inches. I'll times that by 2.5 or 3 inches for my gathers. So these are my back pieces. I've gone ahead to cut out the midpoint, as you can see, and I'll also cut out the midpoint on my facing, and I'll place the right sides this way and sew by 1/2 inch. I've gone ahead to also mark my dart. I'll take in my dart also. I've done that, and now I'll mark what I have on the hem. This is about 10.5 inches. I'll times that by 2.5 or 3 inches for my gathers. For the back piece, I cut out times 2.5 inches. So what I have here is 25 inches. I'll use it that way. And the length is 46 inches plus 16 inches for the upper part of the dress. That's 62 inches. So I'll be using 1.5 inches to hem and 1/2 inch to join the upper part of the dress. So I've gone ahead to cut out 2 pieces for the back, as you can see. Now I'll make double gather stitch and gather it For the front piece, I timed the Basque waist by 3 inches, that is 20 times 3, which is 60 inches. So I'll also be making double gather stitch, and I'll make my gathers and I'll make sure it is up to 20 inches. So guys, I forgot to attach a rope on the bust area of this dress, so I am going to be doing that right now. So I'll be attaching like a rope on the bust area close to the midpoint here. To cut out the rope, I'll be using this piece of fabric. This is 1.5 inches. I'll fold it this way. I'll sew on 1/4 inch on the edge and sew on 1/2 inch down, and I'll bring it inside out to have something like this, as you can see. So I made 2 pieces of the rope. So these are the opened edges and these are the folded edges, and the length is 20 inches. So I've gone ahead to loosen about 1 inch on the midpoint. As you can see, I loosed a bit, so I loosed the other part that I joined, as you can see. So what I'm going to do now is I'll place the rope this way, okay, on the right side. I'll place it from like 1/4 inch from the midpoint, okay, and then I'll pull it out this way on the wrong side, and I am going to join it, and I'll stitch exactly where I stitched earlier, okay, following the shape. So this is it. This is how it came out. As you can see, it is like 1/4 inch away from the midpoint. So in case you want to attach your rope, make sure to attach it before you join the cup. So this is how it came out. So the next thing I am going to do now is to attach the ruffles on the hem. So I've gone ahead to gather it, as you can see, and I ensure it is up to 20 inches. I'm going to place it this way, the right sides together, and I'll align the side seams. I left 1 inch ungathered, as you can see, for the side seam. I'll align the side seam, and then following the shape, I will sew by 1/2 inch. I've also made my gathers on the back piece, and I ensure it is up to the 10.5 inches, and I left the side seams and the zipper allowance, as you can see. So I'm just going to place the right sides this way, and then I will join by 1/2 inch. I've done that on the back, and this is how it came out. I've attached my gathers, and this is how beautiful it came out. So the next thing I'm going to do is to place the right sides this way. Starting from the hem, I will sew by 1 inch and stop where my zipper will stop, as you can see. Now I am going to attach my zipper. I loosed about 1 inch on the neckline, so I'll attach my zipper before I finish up the neckline. I've done that. I've gone ahead to attach the zipper, as you can see. Now I'll join back the 1 inch sewing on top of the zip, and after doing that, I'll sew close to the zipper teeth. I'll do the same thing on the other piece, and I'll cut out the excess zip. So I've done that. As you can see, this is how neat it came out. After sewing close to the zipper teeth, I trimmed it out a bit, turned it inside out, and ironed properly. So this is how neat it came out, and this is how it is on the wrong side. I am going to serge round the facing. Also on the front piece, I've gone ahead to attach my gathers, and this is how beautiful it came out. So now I'll be joining the front and the back piece. I'll place the right sides together this way and align the shoulder. I'll make sure I'll use the back piece as a guide, okay, and I'll align the gathers and use the facing to turn it over this way and sew by 1/2 inch. After doing that, I'll sew on the 1 inch for side seam, and then I'll hem using the 1.5 inches for hemming allowance. So my total gown length is 60 inches. As you can see, I've joined the shoulder and the side seam, so the front piece is longer than the back, so you can reduce the 4 inches on the hem this way if you like. Now I'll be cutting out the sleeve. I've done that and I marked 2 inches here. I'll be making a little puff sleeve, so I'll be using these 2 inches for that. The sleeve length is 7 inches plus 1 inch for hemming allowance, that's 8 inches. And I marked exactly what I have here on the hem because I'll be attaching an elastic band. Okay, so for my puff sleeve, I am going to extend the cap this way on the 2 inches, as you can see me do. So this is going to be for the puff sleeve, so you can add extra inches if you like. You can use 3 to 4 inches, depends on how puffy you want the sleeve. So I'll be making gathers with the extra 2 inches I added. I've gone ahead to cut it out on my fabric. Now I'll mark the 2 inches I added and I'll notch. I'll be making gathers on the notched points this way, as you can see. Now I'll join the side seam and I'll also hem. Like I said, I'll be attaching an elastic on the hem of the sleeve. I've done that. I've joined the side seam and I've also hemmed, so I left 1 inch opening that I'll use to pass my elastic band. So on the notched point, I make double gather stitch, so I'll make gathers this way to form that little puffy effect on the shoulder. Using a safety pin, I'll go ahead and pass my elastic band through. So you can either pass the elastic band through the casing, or you can place the elastic band close to the hem this way and then sew by stretching it. Okay, so the length of the elastic band is my round elbow measurement minus 4 inches. So after passing my elastic band, I will sew by 1/2 inch. I'll do the same thing on the other sleeve. I've done that and this is how it came out. So I've stitched back the 1 inch opening, as you can see. Now I am going to attach it to the dress. I'll align the side seam. So this part that I gathered, I am going to make sure it is at the midpoint, that's the shoulder of the dress. So guys, I've done that. I've attached the sleeve and this is how beautiful it came out. So this is the puffy effect on the shoulder area. Like I said, the little puffy effect. Okay, so this is how really beautiful it came out. So guys, we have come to the end of this tutorial. If you have not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? If this was helpful, kindly give this video a thumbs up, click on the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell to be updated when I upload a new video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.